It's been a long week, but hey, these weeks I can take. A little bit of shrieking, play a few platters, read the weather forecast, watch the nation's capital in action. That's not bad. I've had harder weeks. I used to work 12, 14-hour days a long time ago, back when I was a medical man. Yeah, back when I was a doctor. My specialty? OB-GYN. I was the best there was. Every day I'd walk into the room and scream, "These hands have been touched by God!" And a very lucrative clinic in a suite of offices on New Mexico Road. And together with my assistant, Miss Hodgkiss, I continued my career with a very, very profitable office. The main reason to my success was that I had some very, very wealthy clients. The wealthiest of which was Mrs. Fitzsimmons. She was one of those old eccentric millionaires who only trusted me. Consequently, I was at her beck and call 24 hours a day. I charged her $1,000 a visit. She easily paid that thing. Needless to say, she was a valued customer. So one day when I was in the office, wrapping up another case, I took off my gas mask after completion, said, "Have a nice day, ma'am," and sat down behind my desk when Miss Hotchkiss walked in and said, "Mrs. Fitzsimmons is out there. She'd like you to examine her dog." I said, "Her dog? I'm not a veterinarian. I'm a medical man. OB-GYN, the best there is. These hands have been touched by God." She said, "Can it, Doc? Can it? I've heard the spiel before." I said, "But I can't do it. What has she got?" She said, "A Chihuahua." I said, "What am I going to do? A D&C on a Chihuahua? What are you, nuts?" She said, "She's willing to pay you $1,500. I said, "Send her in, please." She said, hello, Dr. Greasemanelli. You know, I just couldn't trust Fifi with anybody, except you. You're so gentle with me, I assumed you'd be gentle with her. She's such a frightened dog." And I looked at that sniveling little Chihuahua. I said, "But for $1,500, what the hell? Let's bring her to the table here." Now, how am I going to hold this still? I never worked with an animal before. So I got lengths of twine, and I tied its little paws down to the stirrups, and I tied its other little paws down. I said, "All right, let's see here." But I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't learn from nothing, So I said, excuse me, Mrs. Hotchkiss. I have to go get some more cotton swabs." And I stepped into my office and I dialed up my buddy Vito, who was a veterinarian. I said, "Hey, Vito, how do you do a pelvic on a Chihuahua?" He said, "Pelvic on a Chihuahua? You don't do pelvics on Chihuahuas." I said, "You never do it?" He said, "No, the dog lives 12 years. What do you got to do a pelvic for?" I said, "Well, I got one in the zoo." He said, "You got it. What are you doing?" I said, "I got it tied up." He said, "Tied up? You don't tie up a Chihuahua. The thing is liable to go into immediate cardiac arrest." Sure enough, when I got back into the office, Mrs. Fitzsimmons was frantic. The dog was there twitching at the end. I said, my God, myocardial infarction. I said, "Stand outside, please. Mrs. Fitzsimmons, please stand outside. My God, I need all my faculties about me. Miss Hotchkiss, come in immediately." So, sure enough, Miss Hotchkiss came in. I tried to administer mouth-to-mouth restitution, but I didn't have a defibrillator. The dog was on a slab. I mean, DOA. We're talking straight line. We're talking no vitals. We're talking vegged out. We're talking Slab City. We're talking over. And I'm thinking, my God. So I thought fast. I said, "The dog's come around. Go running outside. Go running to mommy now. Go running to mommy." And I untied that dog, took the strings off it, and I lobbed that thing like a grenade out into the middle of the street in front of a passing bus, and splat! I was screaming, "No, Fifi, don't go that way. The office is that way. Oh, no, Fifi." Splat! Yeah, buddy. Sure enough, that thing was like a pancake. It was like a pancake. Mrs. Fitzsimmons went running outside. She said, "My God." I said, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Fitzsimmons. I tried to, when I turned the dog loose, I thought it was going to run out to you, but it ran outside to the other door into the street. I'm sorry, I couldn't stop it. The dog had a mind of its own and ran out and got squashed by the bus." She looked down at the dog and then looked up at me. She said, "Oh, yeah? Well, if it ran out into traffic, you answer me this. How come it squashed upside down?" I said, hang on a second, would you? And I walked back into the office, picked up my phone, called my favorite car dealer. I said, "Hey, Vito?" Yeah, Dr. Greasemanelli. "Cancel the Maserati, would you please?"